So in this video, we're looking at navigation again, another chance to look at the decisions we might want to make in order to make the route easier by deciding where our feet should be navigating to or how we should be navigating for our feet. So I'm climbing on the left-hand screen here, obviously same route that Dave's climbing on the right. Dave's going to be taking the line that we would normally take, trying to prioritize keeping the weight on the feet and going where it's less steep, and I'll just be going where it's steeper on the left. Anyway, so this is a new route that we just bolted a couple of weeks ago, and we've already been at the crag and watched several people do it, and people just climb it in different ways, which is obviously fine, of course. So sometimes it can be nice just to see how it looks when someone is just climbing it without any thought to going where it's least steep. And how it might look a bit harder. So you'll see me sometimes, certainly at the start there, going over some steep stuff, and you're kind of almost forced to make big steps because you don't want to get your foot stuck underneath the steepness where it is steep. So you're going over the steepness, which means now you're throwing your foot high and then pulling your weight over the foot instead of, you know, being able to place your foot below the knee and stay within an efficient pattern of movement and just stand on the footholds. You're then going past footholds on the steep rock to get onto the bigger foothold over the steep bits. So it just makes moving efficiently much harder if you go the steep way. And then, of course, you're going to be spending more time sort of leaning out on your arms and less time sort of leaning forwards on your feet if you go where it's steeper. But the thing is, sometimes on some routes, you might not even detect the difference. So as is true with most of the stuff that we teach and coach, we're always advising people to not really try to do these things when you're climbing sort of close to or at your limit. But what we tend to do, the way we work, is when we're coaching, we have people on things that are so easy for them that they have ultimate choice in where they go. So when we're coaching movement based stuff, we'll have people on routes that might be 4 or 5 grades below what their maximum is when they're practicing moving in a different way. And then at some point during a coaching week, we will have people, maybe practicing or red pointing to develop or practice an efficient approach to projecting or red pointing a route. And then when we do that, that might be actually at the limit, or it might be a grade harder than they've ever climbed, and to see if a systematic approach to red pointing can be helpful. You can see there that I went straight over the overhang on the left of where it's biggest, and obviously Dave's went completely round to the right side, avoiding the overhang and the steepness altogether. And then now we're both standing on this ledge. There's a couple of easy clips to be made from here. Now, what we think is the easiest way to go from here would be step down and right, as you see Dave's doing, rather than me going up, staying left. I'm very close to the bolts. The climbing's fairly easy, but it's obviously easier down on the slab where Dave's gone down and right. The other problem that we have here with the line I've chosen is that there's some risk involved because the next bolt's out to the right, and as I pull rope up to clip, if I fell off at that point, I would just fall onto the ledge below. But obviously, Daze has done this, that used the same bits of protection, clipped in, and then stepped down, so the drawers and the rope is above her. So you're kind of on top rope as you're doing those moves. We're going to end up in the same place anyway, as I then eventually get forced to go out right, as that's where the bolts are. And the bolt that I've clipped over to the right from where I am now, was placed there by us to try and help people make the decision to go out right where Daze has climbed, lower and right, because it's a safer option. So kind of wanted to try and get people to go that way as a safer option by having that bolt out right a bit more. The rope still runs in a straight line, so I've compromised a little bit, but just hoping that people would see the bolt out there and think, well, if I go to the right, I'll get to that bolt quicker. I've seen a few people not do that, just head straight up from the previous bolt above the ledge, putting themselves at unnecessary risk of hitting the ledge rather than doing what we'd hoped. Now, we've climbed up to the same point. Now I'm deliberately again going where it's more steep. So Dave's going to stay left, and there's a more slabby section of climbing for the feet, and I'm going to be going out right here. And not sure if really you have to be able to calculate whether the route is a grade harder or not by going one way or the other. But the clear difference is with the options that I've taken, the navigation option I've taken, they're more on the arms. And we do find sometimes when we're coaching that people often find that the steeper climbing hang on the arms might actually feel easier if you're not really proficient with your footwork. You might feel more comfortable doing steep stuff that's more on the upper body, just because you're maybe feeling uncomfortable trying to stand on, say, smaller footholds. It's not always the case that you're immediately going to feel the benefit of navigating where it's less steep for your feet and getting more weight on your legs. But it's just like understanding that there's a very logical approach, and it should be fairly obvious that where you are able to get more weight on your feet and your legs and weight off your arms, that's a more efficient choice uh, from a navigational point of view. But then also, if you have the skill as a climber to then be able to get the weight onto your feet and also utilize a more efficient movement pattern by keeping the feet under the opposite knee or the footholds under the knees, and then transferring your weight onto the foot, a more efficient way of moving. And it's easier to make those choices when your feet are on less steep terrain. So even here at the very top where it's all very steep, you can see that we're making very different choices. I'm heading off left where the rock is steeper, and Daisy is staying out to the right and taking the least steep option to get to the same point, which would be the anchor. Found this or any of the other videos that we've made useful, then please click like and subscribe, and check back for further videos that we're making shortly.